So let's discuss the next essay topic. The real is rational and the rational is real. The real is rational and the rational is real. This essay topic, it is, and this essay paper, it sent shockwaves amongst the student communities. But this topic, real is rational and the rational is real, is not as difficult as it seems, provided you free yourself from the clutches of the person who said this. So forget if it was Hegel or whosoever said that statement, in which context, replying to whom he said that. You don't have to bother about that. And similarly in other essay topics also, like Hand That Rocks the Cradle, who was that poet who said that, or History Repeats Itself, who was that famous Karl Marx who said that. You don't have to bother about that. Those people are dead. Let them stay in their grave. Don't disturb them. And you don't have to be spokesperson for them. You share your thoughts, what you think about them. So what you think about these topics, I mean, the real is rational and the rational is real. So I will be sharing with you my essay script. I'm sure that will help you. So let's come to this. Real is rational and rational is real. Okay. So in this essay script, let's hear the real is rational and the rational is real. Let's start reading. And before I do, just a bit of explanation, a very basic minimum explanation here. Real here, it refers to something which is truth, which is not false, which is not unreal, which is not a part of our imagination, which stands out there right in front of us, which we can feel from our senses, like this pen, which I can touch, which I can hear its voice, my skin. Yeah, you can see that. If I pinch, I can feel the pain. So these are the things which are part of this real world. Rational is which has withstood the test of reasoning, something which is a result of our application of mind. So the essay topic wants us to explore this relationship between real and rational. So the world around us, what I think and what I see, are these two things same or different? What I think and what I see, are these two things same or different? What is the truth ultimately between these two things? And what, as I said, what is the relationship between these two? So on these lines, we will proceed with the essay. So let's start reading the essay. See, this video is about sharing the essay script. So I'll focus more on reading the script, less on explanation. If I do both, this essay would stretch to like 1 hour or 2 hours, and so there's time boundation. So I will read more and explain less. In case if you need more explanation, please let me know in the comment section. If there is any problem in understanding any point, I will make a separate video for description also. The real is rational and the rational is real. Humanity, since the dawn of civilization, had a quest. Okay, before that, let's jump to page number 2, where I have described this topic. So at least you will get a good understanding. And then again, we will come back to the opening lines. If rationality is equated with reasoning, then the topic seems to suggest that true reality is something which will withstand the test of reasoning. That is, with the strength of rationality, you can realize the truth. And similarly, if something has passed the litmus test of rationality, then it can't be a lie or deception. This is the essay topic, and rest of this essay is a mere explanation or further extension or contradiction and so on of the topic. Okay, so how do we begin this? Real is rational and the rational is real. Humanity, since the dawn of civilization, had a quest to understand the world around her. Can this world be understood through logic, or can it be understood through our senses, or should something else be the source of our knowledge? Does the world exist in real, or is it only a part of our imagination? We will discuss such questions in the light of the topic, the real is rational and the rational is real, though not necessarily in the context in which it might have been originally stated. So by writing these lines, I have made this explicitly clear to the examiner that I will be discussing this essay beyond in the context in which the author might have said that originally. Though these lines are not necessary, you could have left them also, you could have omitted them. What we see around us, is it truth or are we surrounded by a false perception of reality? If rationality is equated with reasoning, then the topic seems to suggest that true reality is something which will withstand the test of reasoning. That is, with the strength of rationality, you can realize the truth. And similarly, if something has passed the litmus test of rationality, then it can't be a lie or deception. But then what about our senses? Should we not trust what we see or what we hear? Perhaps not, because the senses often deceive us. For example, a rope lying on the ground in dark can appear to us as a snake. The doubt regarding such an object can be cleared if we apply our mind and throw a stone on it to check whether it moves or not. So, an example of rationality here you see. Such philosophical questions are important to discuss in this 21st century because in the age of social media, market and despotic governments around the world, it has become difficult for the masses to separate reality from deception. So it has become difficult for the masses to separate reality from deception. In the words of famous poet Wasim Barelvi, you must have heard this statement, this couplet many times from me. In the words of famous poet Wasim Barelvi, वो झूठ बोल रहे थे बड़े सलीके से, मैं एतबार ना करता तो क्या करता, which can be translated into English as they were speaking lies with such conviction, what else could I have done besides trusting them? Thus, when so much lies are spread around us by technology, advertisement and propagandas, it becomes important to invoke our rationality on a constant day-to-day basis to save ourselves from falling in the trap of a fictitious world. So these are some of the ideas, and this couplet I had discussed in explanation of a topic. Mindful Manifesto is a catalyst to a tranquil self, that was asked in 2020 mains last year, and this year self-discovery has been outsourced to technology. In that also I had used it. And if the topic we discuss again, wisdom finds truth in 2019, again this can be used. So all these essay topics, if you see, they have something in common. And this essay topic really is rational. All these things have something in common, that we can discuss how in our society we are being misled by media, by market, by governments and so on, and how important it is for us to distinguish or differentiate between the right and the wrong by application of our mind. Okay. Nobel laureate T.S. Eliot lamented the same in his work called Wasteland, referring to how the modern world lives in what he calls unreal cities of London, Paris, Jerusalem, Athens, etc. So here I'm merging my knowledge from philosophy, sociology, political science and English literature together. And I've often told you how important this poem Wasteland is, how much I love it, and that's why I've taken liberty to use a reference of that poem here. But the relationship between real and unreal, now we will explore this relationship between real and unreal in the light of rationality. But the relationship between real and unreal becomes complex when we have a glance at the track record of rationality in human history. Will the world be saved if we trust rationality? Is rationality sacrosanct? Is rationality sacrosanct? That is a dimension we will explore now. Science and rationality are not immune from propagandas. The anti-Semitic movements in the Nazi-controlled German society in 1930s and 1940s drew upon heavily from the so-called anthropological research to prove the superiority of German race. Children in schools were systematically indoctrined, citing scientific evidences. So-called science and rationality. And what kind of truth it constructed in front of those children during Nazi era. So, when years later such children grew up into soldiers and killed Jews in concentration camps, they were just listening to the faculties of rationality. So also science and rationality eat up that vital space in human heart where emotions and compassions are supposed to reside. Thus, notice this point. Thus, what is rational sometimes may not be real. What the topic was telling us? What is rational? That is real. We have taken an extra step here to discuss that what is rational, it sometimes may not be real. Can we go a step further and say that what is unreal could be not irrational but rational? So we are taking an extra dimension here. That what is unreal, what is imaginary, can that be rational? Let's see. Art. I'll give an example of art, and the discussion which I'm making here is borrowed or lifted from an essay discussion which I had made in year 2020. That's the video I had uploaded in 2020. It was a live streamed video, and the topic was art is a lie which tells the truth. In July, I think July or August, I discussed that topic in 2020. You can see if you want that. And there I had made a reference of Hegel also. Hegel's ideas of Hegel's importance of Hegel's emphasis on
Like Hegel was one who had
and
said
so on.
that it is our
Right?
consciousness
Do we know that
which
that
determines
it
our
was Hegel
reality.
at that time?
Like
But
if we
anyway,
talk about
so
Indian
friends, whenever
cinema,
I share some videos, or please see that carefully, and that will help you in philosophical essays a lot. Art does not claim to be truth, but sometimes art is a lie which tells us what should be considered rational. When Europeans invaded India and Africa, they justified their rule on the rationale that they were on a civilizing mission. They made attempts to convince the natives of the theory of white man burden and how the whites were needed to rescue the Asians and Africans from darkness and backwardness. Then the world of art and literature came forward to rescue the natives by bursting the false logics of colonizers. In India, novelists such as Deenbandhu Mitra, through his novels such as Neel Darpan, showed the plight of indigo workers and uncovered the horrors of British rule in India. Similarly, other forms of arts such as dramas, songs, poems, etc., were written by colonized people around the world to show how the so called Western rationality was a device. Notice these lines. The so called Western rationality was a device to rob them of their wealth, status, and respect. Sometimes good cinemas tell us how wrong as a society we are to have normalized discrimination, how wrong as a society we are to have normalized discrimination and oppression of a certain people. The point is, this is the bottom point here. The point is that something as unreal as art at times can tell us what should be true rationality. So, art is imagination, art is unreal, art is a piece of creation. It is never supposed to be truth. But interestingly, it is art sometimes, as seen in good cinemas or good novels or good poetry, which tells us the fault lines in rationality, but how wrong that rationality is. So that's a dimension which we are exploring here. Rationality is important, but it is equally important that how that rationality comes to a human mind. Also, rationality should not become a tool to claim your truth as superior to the truth of others. Again, these ideas I've often discussed in my test series. Also, rationality should not become a tool to claim your truth as superior to the truth of others. It must not become a pretext to unleash cultural colonization. In the modern world, we are living in a pluralistic society where the infinite numbers of different social groups may have their own versions of what they consider as truth. They may all have different rationals and they all need to be treated with respect. So, certain moral message we have delivered here. And now, enough of discussions at macro level, we'll come back to the individuals. Like groups, individuals also carry different consciousness and their realities vary accordingly. The point here is that, see, there is a wooden bed, and that wooden bed, as far as its structure is concerned, it is empirical, it is same. It has the same smell, same view, same touch, feeling of touch to all people who see that. But four different people will see that wooden bed in a very different manners depending upon what kind of experiences they had on that bed. So that bed would evoke different responses in their mind, even though the bed is same. So in this way, this aspect of real and rational we are discussing here. For example, a wooden bed may not be seen as the same entity by four different individuals. A person who had his relative succumbing to death due to COVID on that bed would see the bed as a symbol of grief and sickness. A person who was abused of violence while being tied to the bed would see it as a place of violence. A person who had the delight of first few days of wedding on that bed would be delighted to see it. He would celebrate that. And the carpenter who constructed the bed would see it entirely different from others, from all others. Thus, what we see as real is often influenced by our past experiences, resident emotions, and ideological inclinations. I repeat, what we see as real is often influenced by our past experiences, resident emotions, and ideological inclinations. We are moving towards a conclusion from here. It is difficult to say that truth is absolute. Truth depends upon our relative positions. Rationality brings some kind of order and stability in our thought process so that we become better equipped to focus on truth and distill lies from it. Distill lies from it means keep the lies away by application of our thoughts. Senses are important, but they can't tell us the truth. In absence of rationality, they are prone to misjudgments and vulnerable to worldly temptations. While rationality brings stability in our perception, senses can create chaos and anarchy. Rationality is vital to reach to truth or reach the truth. And thus, it's all the more important to ensure that the rationality is not corrupted in the first place. So if rationality is so important, it must not be corrupted in the first place. Rationality needs not a day, but years to evolve. It takes practice, dedication, and sacrifice to cultivate true rationality and to strengthen it to an extent where we can override the temptations and deceptions of worldly senses with a calm, serene, and rational mind. And now the last paragraph. In a world which is increasingly creating lies and deceptions around us in the names of market, technology, and materialism, it is vital that we be rational to be the real. I repeat the concluding paragraph. In a world which is increasingly creating lies and deception around us in the names of market, technology, and materialism, it is vital that we be rational to be the real. And with this, I have ended this essay. So in the last line, I have repeated a phrase of the essay topic in this way, concluding on the same point, on a similar point which the essay topic was suggesting, and it has also given a reference or an allusion to one of the ideas which had followed our introduction, that thought of Wasim Barelvi. वो झूठ बोल रहे थे बड़ी सलीके से, एतबार ना करता तो क्या करता. So we have to be rational so that we can be closer to reality. Okay, so with this I have ended this essay, and this is one of the ways in which the essay could have been written. This essay can be written in hundreds of ways. It's a philosophical essay. Every person will write it in a very different manner. In fact, if I have to write this essay again today, I would write it very differently. In a very different manner I would write it. So I hope this was beneficial to you all. If there is some point which needs further elaboration, or if you want me to come out with an explanation of this topic, a detailed explanation, then let me know. I will do that also. I can do that also. So I hope this was beneficial to you all, my friends, and as I said, if you want me to come out with a description or a detailed explanation of this topic, please let me know. and subscribe the channel, and please hit the bells icon so that you can be notified immediately when I come up with the next video related to essays. And if you want to take more benefits of the essay programs which I keep coming up from time to time, you can join them, and the details you can see in the description box. Thank you all. Good luck.